Lab Addicts Music Group. Lab Addicts Music Group. Lab Addicts Music Group. Lab Addicts Music Group.
Goody, what's goody, what's goody, what's goody, what's goody?
Lab Addicts Music Group.
It's your favorite YouTuber's favorite YouTuber. It's your boy Maas. It's Thursday night. It's another edition of Adult Conversations with Maas. Hope everyone enjoyed reggae night last night. It was a fun evening. Got out, got to meet a lot of new people, connect with some new people. It was a fun time hanging out with the people. But before we go any further, we got to give thanks to the Most High for allowing us to see another day, see another sun rise, see another sunset, and another chance to love on people that we love. With that being said, shouts out to everybody that's watching on Instagram. Shouts out to everybody that's watching on Facebook. Shouts out to everybody that's watching on X. And tonight, Rumble. And last but not least, most definitely everybody watching on YouTube, MA family, everybody. It's one more day to the weekend. And tonight's conversation, we're going to talk about, do black voters still owe the Democratic Party their loyalty? And the reason I want to talk about this is last night, early yesterday morning, and into this morning, Hakeem Jeffries came out and had a 8-hour and 44-minute rebuttal speech to the big ugly bill, as he called it. We're going to watch the first 8 minutes of his speech, and we're going to watch the last 8 minutes of his speech. I did get a chance to look at some of it last night. And the portions that I looked at, basically, he was reading stories, telling stories of people, his constituents, that reached out to him, that told them, basically, they were telling him how this bill was going to affect them on an economic level as well as other levels. What's going on, Bud Fouls? How you doing tonight? And about 2 months ago, we had another conversation about the Democratic Party, and I said that I was looking for Hakeem Jeffries to step up as the minority leader, to be more vocal in basically the platform going forward and how they were going to combat what's going on right now. And he really hadn't been saying too much. He hadn't been in the news a lot lately. So last night's 8 hour and 44 minute rebuttal was record breaking, and it was classic. It was classic. He threw a lot of hip hop references out there and other things. And there were people in the Democratic Party that stayed for the entire speech, and there were others that left and, back and forth. But this morning, early this afternoon, when he was ending his speech, he was surrounded by his party, and he was given a round of applause for his rebuttal. Not sure if anybody had a chance to check that out, but there were some things that he said, and we're gonna. Last night was really, really pivotal for the Democratic Party. I am a registered independent. I've been an independent since I turned 18. Never changed it. I've never voted in a primary. I've talked about this on several occasions. I've never voted in primary. I am independent. I never vote straight ticket anything. Sometimes I vote for independents. Sometimes I vote for moderate Republicans. And sometimes I vote for Democrats. So independent. I vote for the person that speaks best to me. And we're also going to talk about the Republican Party and how it was the party of African Americans in the early 1900s, when the Republican Party was called the Party of Lincoln, Party of Abraham Lincoln. So basically, the Party of Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was the person with the uh, proclamation that basically freed slaves. So knowing that, black people knowing that Abraham Lincoln was Republican and he was the person, the Emancipation Proclamation, where he basically gave slaves their freedom. So black people associated themselves with the Republican Party. And over time, those things changed. And one of the main components of why people changed, and I've talked about this before, it really wasn't the people that were in the Republican Party that were the reason that black people left the party. It was Southern Democrats who were called Dixiecrats. And basically, they were mad that the South had lost to the North. And they still didn't like black people. And in the Civil War era, and this is what it says. Let me go back a little bit. And it says, after the Civil War, the Republican Party was known as the Party of Abraham Lincoln, who signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 and effectively ended slavery in 1865. Due to President Lincoln's role in emancipation, many Black Americans supported his party once they earned the right to vote and remained loyal to the Republicans in the years that followed through Reconstruction and things of that nature. In the Civil War era, it was the Southern Democrats who had a reputation for bitterness over losing to the North. They were openly racist and they used voter suppression tactics like poll taxes. Voter suppression tactics like poll taxes. But there's evidence that black voter loyalty to Republicans began to waver during Reconstruction, an era wherein black citizens experienced significant political and social gains only to see those rights come under attack. And really, the thing that pushed black people away from the Republican Party was in the 1930s, Herbert Hoover was Republican and he had the Lily White movement of the Republican Party, which sought to recruit anti black members, pushing black voters further away from the party. So the Republicans openly recruited racists to come and support their party, which basically pushed black people from supporting the Republican Party. And that's when it went to Democrats. And it's never really changed since then about black people's overall support of the Democratic Party. You have people that are going to support the Republican Party who are black, and you're going to have black people that are independents. But for the most part, largely, I would say 75 to 80% of African Americans vote for the Democratic Party. And with everything that's going on and Democrats basically lack of doing anything for black people are leaving the Democratic Party and going back to the Republican Party, even though the Republican Party has racist overtones because of its membership. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about in terms of black people's loyalty to the Democratic Party was, is it time for a third party? We've talked about this before as well. Because neither one of these parties really have the interests of the people. I think it's time for a third party, the People's Party. I think we need a third party, and the third party should be called the People's Party. The People's Party. And that goes back to, we don't have black super PACs, we don't have black political action committees. These are things that need to be grown from a grassroots level. But it's time for a third party. And people that voted Democratic, I wanted to know why you did that. And before we get into that, I'm gonna have to say goodbye to the people that's on Instagram, to the people that's on Facebook. I need you to come over here to YouTube, continue the conversation with us, join the conversation. So to all the people on X, Facebook, Rumble, and Instagram, I'm gonna need y'all to come over here to YouTube and join in the conversation. Thanks for joining in, but yeah, come on over here. Boom, there we go. Now we're gonna get all those people to come over and join the conversation. But Nightbot is back in effect. Nightbot's been gone for a minute. I had to refresh it, but Nightbot is back to guide everybody in this chat. But yeah, it was after the Lily White movement during Herbert Hoover's presidency, which really, really pushed black people away from the Republican Party to the Democrats. And basically, since then, it's been unwavering support by black people for the Democratic Party. Even though the Democratic Party has been notorious for not doing anything for black people. Lots of empty promises over the years. And I've watched it. But, I don't, because they're wings of the same bird. There needs to be a party that's not a part of that bird to really kind of push the narrative. Because until either one of these parties do anything for black people, that really neither one of them is really good for us. You know, when people say the lesser of two evils, and I live by the words of I live by the words of Dick Gregory. I'm not voting for evil at all. Even if it's a lesser of two evils, still evil. So, with that being said, what are black people? Why do black people have unwavering loyalty to the Democratic Party? Legacy of support, or is that support? Is that legacy, or is it a trap? Have black people been trapped in the web of the Democrats and their lack of urgency when it comes to the needs? Because I'm not going to talk about wants. We're going to talk about needs. Needs of black people. Everybody has wants, but there's necessary necessities that all black people need. And those are the things that the Democratic Party hasn't delivered on. There has been no police reform. There's really been no housing reform done by the Democrats. Education, reparations, economic mobility. I don't think that the Democrats really pushed any of those narratives in relation to black people. And then black people became disenchanted with the Democratic Party. And, I've said this since the election. What is the Democratic Party going to do to support the needs of black people? And Hakeem Jeffries' 8-hour speech was eloquent at times, and at times it was yeah. I mean, you talk for 9 hours, everything's not going to be, you know, astute to the average listener. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be. Yeah. You have to really, really listen to some of the things he was saying, some of the euphemisms he was using, some of the hyperbole he was using. It was yeah. It wasn't too much rhetoric. It was 9 hours of information. And with that being said, we're gonna go to this first 8 minutes of Hakeem Jeffrey's speech. And then we'll probably go to the last 8 minutes of his speech, because I think that what he said in the first 8 minutes of the speech and what he said in the last 8 minutes of the speech really are the hard hitting points and the emphasis that he was looking for. And then that a lot of that time in between was just basically talking about constituents as well as talking about old stories and things of that nature. Whenever you do a filibuster, it's not going to be. There's going to be a whole lot of filler, and there was a lot of filler, but it was necessary filler. So we're gonna get into the first 8 minutes of Hakeem Jeffrey's speech. Yeah, I hope y'all like the yeah. I got on the Schoolhouse Rock T-shirt tonight. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong opposition to Donald Trump's one big, ugly bill, this disgusting abomination, the GOP tax scam that guts Medicaid, rips food from the mouths of children, seniors, and veterans, and rewards billionaires with massive tax breaks. Every single Democrat stands in strong opposition to this bill because we're standing up for the American people. Mr. Speaker, I've heard a lot.
What to do, YWG, man? Share the video out for me, YWG, man. I think I'm getting shadow banned tonight because of that live music from last night. YouTube didn't really say too much about my live show last night, but I think I'm getting shadow banned, man, because I don't see no people in here tonight, man. Yes. Share me out. Share me out. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Back to Hakeem Jeffries.
From my Republican colleagues who've expressed pride in this accomplishment, I asked the question, if Republicans were so proud of this one big ugly bill, why did debate begin at 3:28 a.m. in the morning? Republicans are once again, which has been the case, Mr. Speaker, through every step of this journey, tried to jam this bill through the House of Representatives under cover of darkness. But I'm here today to make it clear that I'm going to take my time and ensure that the American people fully understand how damaging this bill will be to their quality of life. Now, Republicans and Donald Trump promised that costs would go down on day one. Costs haven't gone down under Donald Trump and House Republicans here in the United States of America. In fact, costs have gone up. We believe that America is too expensive, that the cost of living is too high, that that's a priority that should be worked on in a bipartisan way. But from the very beginning of this Congress, our Republican colleagues have shown no interest in addressing the high cost of living in the United States of America. Not a single executive order has been issued by this administration, Mr. Speaker, to address the high cost of living. Not a single bill has been passed, Mr. Speaker, to address the high cost of living in the United States of America. And this bill, this one big ugly bill, this reckless Republican budget, this disgusting abomination, is not about improving the quality of life of the American people. It will hurt everyday Americans in several different ways. This bill represents the largest cut to health care in American history. It's an all-out assault on the health care of the American people, an assault on Medicaid, an assault on Medicare, an assault on the Children's Health Insurance Program, an assault on the Affordable Care Act, an assault on Planned Parenthood and the health care of women all across the United States of America, an unprecedented assault on the American people and their health care.
YWG, I know you said that Hakeem, you said this dude is a clown, but do you think that last night was a turning point for the Democrats? And I mean, I know that you think he's a clown, but do you think that there was, I think, you know, we've talked about Hakeem Jeffries and we've talked about the Democratic Party, but do you think what he did last night is a step forward? Or do you just do you think those were clown tactics that he used last night? What do you think? Do you think last night was a turning point in a good way for the demo. How do you feel about last night's 9-hour speech?
Almost $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid. This runs directly contrary to what President Trump indicated in January, which was that he was going to love and cherish Medicaid. Nothing about this bill loves and cherishes Medicaid. It guts Medicaid. It guts Medicaid in a way that's going to hurt children, hurt families, hurt seniors, hurt people with disabilities, hurt women, hurt everyday Americans. Hospitals will close, including all throughout rural America, Mr. Speaker. Nursing homes will shut down. By some estimates, 1 in 4 nursing homes will close as a result of this one big, ugly bill. And community-based health clinics, which are the lifelines in neighborhood after neighborhood all across this country, in urban America, in rural America, in suburban America, in small town America, in the heartland of
Hakeem Jeffries basically framed his response as in a way that it's the rich against the poor. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poor. In the pocket, as well as social services to help people that basically have no ways to pay for health care. These programs are being, some of them completely wiped out. The numbers came out today of how many people would be affected by the Medicaid cuts and the Medicare cuts for every state. And they were very, very high. These are people that basically have no means of being able to pay for health care, and the programs that they had that helped them to basically get the necessary medical attention that they needed, these programs are being cut.
America will not be able to operate. And as a result of the lack of health care that will result directly from this one big ugly bill, people in America will die. Unnecessary deaths. That is outrageous. It's disgusting. That is not what we should be doing here in the United States House of Representatives. Not what we should be doing. In addition to the cuts to Medicaid, this bill will result in the largest cut to Medicare in American history. By some estimates, more than $500 billion in cuts to Medicare as a result of the Republicans' one big, ugly bill. This bill will also result in a devastating blow to the Affordable Care Act. That's no surprise because since 2010, Republicans, Mr. Speaker, have been trying to gut and destroy the Affordable Care Act. And as a result of the damage that is done to the Affordable Care Act in this legislation, millions of Americans will lose their health care. The assault on health care in this one big ugly bill will result in more than 17 million Americans losing health care in the United States of America.
17 million people in America will have no health care insurance. 17 million people will have no medical help. Think about that. 17 million people are going to lose the central need of going to the doctor. 17 million people will not be able to do that.
Shame on the people who've decided to launch that kind of all-out assault on the health and the well-being of everyday Americans. That's not what we should be doing here in the United States House of Representatives. And because of the drastic cuts that are made to health care in this one big ugly bill, people with private insurance all across America are going to experience increases in their premiums, their copays, and their deductibles. Millions of Americans in every corner of this country, an all-out assault on health care. That's a very different vision, Mr. Speaker, that Republicans have, working hard to take health care away from the American people than our vision, because we believe, as Democrats, that in the United States of America, health care should not simply be a privilege. Health care is a right that should be available to every single person in the United States of America.
Should America have free health care like most of the nations in the world? The UK, England, they have free health care for their citizens. Lots of European nations have free health care for their citizens. And these countries don't have half of the GNP of America. America is the most wealthy nation. No, I can't say the most wealthy nation. So we got the UAE and we got the United Arab Emirates. Healthcare should be free for everyone in America. Going to the dentist shouldn't be. Everyone should be able to go to the dentist. One should be able to go to the doctor. I go to the Dominican Republic a lot, and the Dominican Republic has free health care or condensed health care for their citizens. Dominicans have to go to the hospital. They don't have to worry about having a big bill that's going to saddle them down for years just because they had some complications and something need to be. That's healthcare should be free for everyone, regardless of if you have means to pay for it or not. We're gonna get through. We got probably it's a little bit longer than 8 minutes. We're probably gonna go another minute and a half on this one, and then we're gonna go to the last 8 minutes of his speech.
This bill is an all-out assault on the health care of the people of the United States of America, hard-working American taxpayers. These are the people we should be standing up to work hard to lift up. But instead, they're victims of this legislation. Hospitals will close. That impacts everybody. in the United States of America. If your hospital closes, whether you're on Medicaid or not, you will be unable to get the treatment that you or your family needs. That's why we're fighting so hard to stop this bill. 1 in 4 nursing homes, by some estimates, will close as a result of the Republicans' assault on Medicaid in this one big, ugly bill. This bill also represents an assault on nutritional assistance here in the United States of America. We've made great progress over the last 50 plus years
I'm gonna let him
related
talk
to
about
hunger
school lunches and stuff, and then
in this country.
I'll end this segment.
Great progress. But we're still dealing with the reality that tens of millions of people in this country go to bed every night wondering whether they're going to be able to get a nutritious meal the next day. Tens of millions of people in this country, millions of children. And instead of trying to address that issue, Mr. Speaker, the one big ugly bill will rip nutritional benefits away from millions of Americans, including children, rip food from the mouths of hungry children and hungry veterans and hungry seniors. That is unacceptable. That's one of the reasons why we stand in strong opposition, Mr. Speaker, to this one big, ugly bill.
And we'll stop it right there. Basically, those are two hard-hitting points that they really went after: was healthcare and the cuts to food stamps and things of that nature to help people who don't have the ability to purchase food on their own. We've seen videos of people who were getting $500 and $600 a month in food stamps that were cut to $50 a month. So things are already starting. Cuts are already being made. And how do you all feel about this bill? Ugly bill or big, beautiful bill? Depending on how you look at the legislation. But the thing about it is, this legislation is going to hurt Republicans as well. So just as we're talking about Democrats that are getting the short end of the stick, Republicans are getting the short. There's a lot of people that are disenchanted with the Republican Party as well. And that's why I say that there's a necessary need for a third party. There has to be a third party. There has to be something other than the two choices that we have, and then the independents that they trot out there. You know, I voted for independent in this last election, and I really think some of the independent platforms were better than both the Republicans and the Democrats. But third parties don't get the love that they need to get in the American political system. So that's why I think there has to be a need for a third party, because the independents, it's not. Independents have good platforms, but for some reason you're just not able to get over the hump. And I've been one to say that the independents need to come together as there needs to be a third party. And I think that the independents need to come together to create one, and as well as other necessary political action committees and super PACs and things of that nature. But there needs to be a third party that Black people have a vested interest in, as well as a party that is partial to the needs of middle class Americans, which is shrinking to, I'm going to say, middle class and people that are in the status of being below the poverty line. I think there needs to be a third party that is partial to those people's needs and only those people's needs. Because those people in the middle class and the people that are below the party line make up a lot more people than there are that are not going to be affected by this legislative bill just went through. So I'm saying that there are disenchanted people on both sides of the aisle. And I think that those disenchanted people that really see no benefit in voting for either one of these parties need to come together to create a third party. Share this video out, hit the like button. For some reason, I'm being shadow banned tonight. Where's everybody at? Am I being shadow banned? Are you all getting a notification? Is everyone getting a notification tonight? Because for some reason, nobody's here. I'm not understanding what's going on. So share this video out, hit the like button, hit the like button. If you come through and you don't stay for a couple minutes, hit the like button for me. But yes, I think that the blind loyalty that Black people have had to the Democratic Party needs to come to an end. People that are disenchanted with the Republican Party, leave the Republican Party. But there needs to be a third party. There needs to be an official third party, and I say it should be called the People's Party. Because the third party needs to be partial to the wants and the needs of people that are in the middle class to people that are below the poverty line, because there are more of those people in the United States than there are of people that are making over $1 million, $500,000. There's more of us than there are of them on both sides of the aisle. Because there are people that are disenchanted with the Democratic Party and there are people that are disenchanted with the Republican Party. Those disenchanted people, which I'm going to say that are mainly people that are working class to people that are below the poverty line, need to come together to form the People's Party. There needs to be an official third party called the People's Party. Because we are the ones that are affected by these policies, not the 1%, not the people that make $1 million, not the people that make $500,000. There's more of us than there are of them. And there needs to be a party that caters to our needs. Because neither one of these parties do anything that is beneficial on a long term for working class people. And the logic that there's more of us, so we should pay more taxes than the rich people is crazy. Because 1% of the population has more wealth than 99% of the people in the United States of America. Of the nation's population has more wealth than the 99%. And you're going to tell me that of the 99%, at least 60% are disenchanted with what's going on around them? YWG said he left the Democrats back in 2016. I need to change this caption. I really wasn't paying attention to it. But yeah. Here we go. It's better. He left the Democrats back in 2016. Said he got tired of the symbolism. YWG, why is there blind loyalty by black people to the Democratic Party? And why haven't the disillusioned ones between the disillusioned people in the Democratic Party and the disillusioned people in the Republican Party, why haven't those people come together to form a third party? Now is the time for a third party. Because neither one of these parties are going to give working class people what they really need. We need to have a platform that is for working class people. Why this has never happened to this point is beyond me. With all the smart political minds and all the people that we have here in the United States of America, why has there never been a push for a third party? Neither one of these parties do anything for the working class. There's more of us than there are of them. And if there was a platform for the people, I think people would be receptive to that. But you got to have a platform. It's time for a third party. I was never one of those disillusioned voters because I've always been independent. I was never disillusioned, and I'm not listening to what you say. I'm gonna look at what you do. I vote for people that are doers of things that are beneficial to me as a black man. That's who I vote for. Now, it can be on either side of the aisle. It can be an independent person. I don't care because I'm not voting for both of these parties. Neither one of these parties has good intentions for black people. Let's just be 100% about it and say that neither one of these parties really has a vested interest in doing anything for black people. There needs to be a third party, a people's party. And that people's party is not just going to be for black people, it's going to be for all the people of the working class, all nationalities, all nationalities that are legal citizens of the United States of America. Because the only way you get what you want is through legislation. Griping is not going to get you what you need. There needs to be legislation. And neither one of these parties really hold what we need as a priority. We make the least money and we pay the most taxes. There's no way that working class people should be paying 27% and upwards of their salary to the government for taxes. Let's talk about that. There's no way that working class people should be paying 27% of their money in taxes to the government. I'm a business owner, so there's 300, there's over 300 deductions as a business owner that I'm available to use that are from, yeah. If you are still filing your taxes as a consumer, you really need to look at yourself. All the home-based businesses that you can start, why are you still filling out a 1040A, a 1040 EZ, a 1040 with the itemized deductions? Why are you still doing that? Why haven't you started a home-based business so that you can be a business owner, so that you can take advantage of those over 300 deductions that you have as a business owner? You file your taxes in 1040, there's only 3 deductions you can have, and 99% of America is not eligible for any of those three deductions that are available if you file your taxes as a consumer. Why is there blind loyalty to parties that, we're talking about the Democratic Party, but why is there blind loyalty to either one of these parties that really do nothing that benefits? Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And that's why I put the School Rock shirt on tonight, because knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Schoolhouse Rocks. They had it right when they put that video out. Knowledge is power. And it seems like people aren't using the knowledge they have of what these parties have done to working class people throughout the years, over and over. We always get the short end of the stick. Working class people always get the short end of the stick. It's time for a third party. Because an undying commitment to a party that's not doing nothing for you is insane. You do the same thing over and over and over, and you expect different results. That's the definition of insanity. Definition of insanity. It's the definition of insanity. And Trump claims that he's doing more for black people than Obama did. Is this fact or is this fish? What is Donald Trump doing for black people? What is Donald Trump doing for black people that he feels he's doing more for black communities than Obama? Anybody out here who voted Republican, let me know what President Trump is doing. I mean, we already know. I mean, Obama did stuff for black people. Let's not get it twisted, but he didn't do enough. YWG said he gets tired of people that vote for someone they say, I know them. Nah, you don't know them. You don't. You don't. And I'm saying this, and we're still going to look at the last eight. We looked at the first 10 minutes of Hakeem Jeffrey's speech. And basically, in the first 10 minutes of his speech, he hit hard on basically all the cuts to Medicare and Medicaid. 17 million people are going to be without the ability to go to a doctor, without the ability to go to a dentist, without the ability to get your regular checkups. 17 million people with this bill by the Republican Party. 17 million people are going to lose their ability to go to the doctor. As well, with the cuts to the nutritional programs, lots of people's food stamps, lots of school lunches, all of these things are going to be cut. And it's not like school lunches were the best to begin with. So, and and I can see where people saying that people misuse their food stamps. I mean, if a person gets $500 worth of food stamps and they use 250 of them, me personally, I don't see nothing wrong with selling food stamps because it's a commodity. It's a commodity. It's a commodity. People have been selling food stamps since the beginning. People have been selling food stamps since you had them book of food stamps where they give you that book and it was like 10, it was a $10 food stamp card, a $20 food stamp. Who remembers those days when you had those food stamps and they would have like denominations on them? This was a $20 food stamp. This was a five. Yeah, yeah. I remember those days. I remember those days when, yeah, I was getting food stamps when I was in college, and it was a food stamp book, and then it changed. But why do with this undying? Why is there an undying loyalty to parties that don't do anything for you? It's time for a third party, the People's Party. It needs to be started by the people that are disenchanted with both of the parties, which is going to be working class people and people that are under the poverty line. Those people need to come together and get super PACs and political action committees and to create a people's party that basically is going to have look for concessions for working class people. And there's more of us than there are of the 1%, even though the 1% has more financial power than the 99. YWG said low level Republican voters get suckered in that thought that the poor or people that don't look like them are the issues, not exactly. They bamboozling people. Yeah, but the Republican Party they know how to cater to their constituents. They know how to cater to their constituents. Even if it means Donald Trump doesn't, basically Donald Trump during his lead up to the election, he stayed in the South. He stayed in the South. He stayed in the South. That's his constituents. The people that were in the North and the Plains on the West Coast, those people that wanted to vote for Trump that was in those other areas, they were going to vote for Trump regardless. But he had to get he stayed in his constituency. He didn't try to delve outside his constituency and make some people like him. He didn't. The people that like Trump, they like Trump. Didn't do nothing but just show up and speak a lot of times. Didn't say too much. He just showed up and spoke. It's more than the Democrats did. And the independents, they don't have the money to support them to go to all these different places. They got to rely on grassroots and word of mouth. And that's what I mean. It's a necessity that there's a third party. And the third party needs to be the People's Party. Anything other than that, there's no need to even start the party because the next party, the third party, has to be the party of the people, the middle class people, and the poverty stricken people. That is the constituency that is necessary in the third party, the People's Party. Because until there's a third party, neither one of these parties is going to do anything for you. So black people's undying loyalty to the Democrats really needs to stop. Really needs to stop. There are Democratic people that I vote for, but I'm not loyal to none of the. I'm not loyal to. Why would I be loyal to it? Why would there be any loyalty to either one of these parties? They've never followed through on any of the promises that they say that they're going to do for us. So why would I be loyal to that? That is what I don't understand about Democratic supporters. You're loyal to some people that don't give you anything but just some stuff to make you feel good. The Democratic Party knows how to play to black people's emotions. That's how they can try Meg the Stallion out there in front of y'all, and y'all, oh, it's women's empowerment. That ain't women's empowerment. Some chick coming out there in a tight business suit twerking in front of y'all, and y'all fell for it. Y'all fell for it. We gonna bring out her. Just she got a tie and a blazer on. It's all tight, but it's a tie and a blazer, and she gonna come out there and twerk in front of y'all. And y'all say that's women's empowerment. Ah, that's playing y'all for a fool. Whenever they don't tell you what they're gonna do for you, and they trot some people out there to tell you to vote and just vote, no, that you don't want to vote for them. You got to start moving with logic and not emotions. The Democratic Party knows how to get at y'all black people's emotions. They have some there. They use tragedy to tug at your emotions. Your tragedy is their strategy. Your tragedy is their strategy. They pull you in with some emotions. It's time for your emotions to stop being the pulse. These parties, they aren't doing anything for us. And when I say us, I'm talking about the middle class. I'm not just the premise of this conversation is black people, but this is about all people that are working class and the people that are under the poverty line. And ain't one color it ain't one color that's in the middle class. We all in the middle class. You people that think that man, they don't care nothing about y'all right here in the middle class with us. You paying the same 27% of your earnings that we pay. You struggling just like us. So the struggle has nothing to do with the color of your skin. We all struggling. But we're talking about black people's loyalty to the Democratic Party. Why is that? Because I know it's not just conservative, black people and free thinking people that are Republicans. I know there's some free thinkers that are Democrats and independents. I know there's some conservative Democrats because black people, we are conservative. Contrary to popular belief, black people have never been liberal. When did you when you was growing up? What was liberal about you? What was liberal about a black household? What was liberal about your great grandmother, your grandmothers? What was liberal about them? There was nothing liberal about the upbringing of black people. Wasn't that liberal? It's conservative. I didn't grow up in a liberal household. I grew up in a very strict and conservative household. They voted Democrat. All for the entertainment every 4 years, man, they try some rappers or some singers or Will Smith or yeah, y'all was Puff Daddy told y'all vote or die. Now Puff Daddy in jail. I didn't grow up in a liberal household. You couldn't do what you wanted to do in the household I grew up in. It was conservative. And if you try to act liberal, you got your ass whooped. You be liberal if you want to. This little boy was. I went to Kroger's today, and this little boy was was real liberal. This this little boy slammed his mama. They wrestling. He want this. He want this thing. They wrestling. I'm checking my food out. Next thing I heard something go, boom. I turned around. This little boy then slammed his mama on the ground and said, "Give me this." And then he ran. He got the toy. He said, "No." She grabbed. He said, "Get off me. Get out." That's liberal. The little boy was real liberal. And all the men that was in that line was looking like, I want to whoop this little boy. I wanted to whoop that little boy's ass at the store today. I wanted to whoop that little boy's ass at the store. This little boy slammed his mama. Boom! Get off me! I ain't never. I'm talking about we was all the men that was in that store was looking like that little boy needed his little liberal ass whooped today. For real. That little boy needed his little liberal ass whooped today. But that's what liberal gets you. That's what liberal gets you. That little boy was real liberal. Slammed his mama. Told her, he's laughing. She hurt. She's getting up like, and she trying to play it off and laugh, and everybody's looking like that little boy needed an ass whooping. I ain't never seen. I done seen some wild stuff, but I ain't never seen that. This little boy walked up and threw it in the basket like, "Yeah, get this, mama." And she said, "No, I'm not getting that." And grabbed that little boy, wrestled her, threw her on the ground, picked the little toy he had up and put it back in the basket. And then she acted like she was. He didn't grab it. And he's back here juking. He's back in. He's in the aisle juking to get away from her. She just like, "Come on, man." I said, "Man, that little boy, woo woo." Some. That little boy needed a belt. He needs somebody to take their belt off and whoop his ass in that store today. But that's a little bit off the subject. Just talking about liberal and conservative. Yeah, I'd have got a woo. I wish y'all could have seen it. I ain't never seen nothing like that in my life. That little boy needed his love. But yeah. We're gonna get to the 8 minutes. Hakeem Jeffries ended his 8 hour and 44 minute speech. And then we're gonna continue this, this conversation on loyalty to the Democratic Party and basically how a third party needs to be created. So here we go. Let me get to Hakeem Jeffries. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah. Ooh, I wish I could have seen that little boy. Golly. That was a scene.
Independence, the second part of it, it reads like an indictment against an out of control king. Reads like an indictment against an out of control king. I commend all Americans, perhaps sometime tomorrow, I'm going to do this myself, read that document in its entirety. And why was that indictment issued? I think it was because the framers of this great country, they were fed up with Project 1775. And so they implemented Project 1776. So I know that there are people concerned with what's happening in America, but understand what our journey teaches us is that after Project 2025 comes Project 2026. And you will have an opportunity to end this national nightmare as part of Project 2026. I love the framers. They gave us a blueprint for what should give us hope in this moment.
That's right.
I think that I want to close by referencing
Take your sweet time.
someone
You know, Mama Maxine.
someone who we all serve with. I want to stand on the shoulders, if it's okay, on some of our civil rights heroes and foot soldiers.
Yes, yes.
Those whose character, whose conviction, whose courage should give the American people hope at a moment of great despair. Many of us had the great honor.
Sorry, y'all.
Serving with Congressman John Lewis. The great honor, Mr. Speaker, to serve with Congressman John Lewis.
That's right.
And I came across something that John Lewis said in June of 2028. That hopefully, no matter what the outcome of this vote, will give people some hope. Great John Lewis said, "Do not get lost."
A lady in the beige coat in the back, she was most definitely there for the whole 9 hours. She was there for the whole 9 hours.
In a sea of despair. Be hopeful. Be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. That's our struggle. No matter what, Mr. Speaker, you decide to do today, that's our struggle. Standing on the shoulders of John Lewis, that's our struggle. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get into good trouble. Good trouble. Good trouble. Necessary trouble. Standing on the shoulders of giants. John Lewis would often talk to us about his admiration for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King, who would refer to John Lewis as the boy from Troy.
The boy from Troy.
Now, what's interesting to me, that civil rights movement, we can learn a lot from it. Started December of 1955. And Rosa Parks sat down on that bus so that all of us could have the courage to stand up.
That's right.
Wasn't an easy struggle. All the odds were stacked against these civil rights heroes and foot soldiers. And during the early days of the movement, a difficult part of the movement, Dr. King, after they'd been targeted, arrested, beaten, harassed by the authorities, he traveled to Brooklyn, New York,
Yes. Brooklyn.
and spoke at the Concord Baptist Church. I think it was in March of 1956. And he said to a group of people of every race, every religion, every life experience, the Concord Baptist Church in Bedford-Stuyvesant, said to them, no matter what the odds, we've got to press on. Dr. King said that if you can't fly, run.
That's right.
If you can't run,
Walk.
walk.
Ain't walk, crawl.
If you can't walk, crawl. But at all times, press on. And keep pressing. And so as I take my seat, I just want to say to the American people that no matter what the outcome is on this singular day,
Fight forward.
we're going to press on. We're going to press on. We're going to press on. We're going to press on for our children, press on for our seniors, press on for our veterans, press on for our unions, press on for our farmers, press on for our dreamers, press on for working class Americans, press on for the middle class, press on for all who aspire to be part of the middle class, press on for the poor, press on for the sick, press on for the afflicted, press on for the least, press on for the lost, press on for the left behind, press on for the rule of law, press on for the American way of life, press on for democracy. We're going to press on until victory is won. I yield back.
How do you all feel about this speech? Was that speech a turning point for the Democratic Party? Or do you all look at it as the same old same? And we talked about, we talked about Hakeem Jeffries. You know what? I should have told y'all this. I gotta see this. When you finish this speech, I'm sorry, you all. I shouldn't have did that. We're gonna take it back. I'll take it back. What is the reception that Hakeem Jeffries got after he finished his speech in 8 hours and 44 minutes? He was greeted by the Democratic Party.
John would have been proud.
How do y'all feel about this speech we did last night? Part of his speech had 4.
Thank you.
Did he do it? After the Republicans waited for 3:30 in the morning.
You did it.
What do y'all feel about this speech that he
Gentleman from Massachusetts.
How y'all feel about that?
Saying you don't need to take an hour.
This gentleman from
eight
Massachusetts.
hours.
Republicans was heated, to say the least. They said that he wasted the taxpayers' time. I would show the Republican response, but You can go look at that somewhere else. We're not gonna look at that. But even though we're talking about blind loyalty to the Democratic Party, I wanted to show that speech because do you all see that as a turning point? Was Hakeem Jeffrey's speech early yesterday morning and into this this afternoon? What do y'all think? It was a good speech, but there's still a need for a third party because they can talk all that stuff and they can do that, but we need action. We need action. Like YWG said, good speakers don't get his vote. It's actions that get me, aka tangibles. And that was a great speech. He talked about a lot of the ills that will come because of this bill. As well, he talked about the pioneers, the peoples whose shoulders have been stood on. He said three good people. He said three great people. Three great people, but there's many, many others whose shoulders we stood on in the civil rights movement. Many others. Too many to name. And I'm not going to do it injustice by not saying somebody's name. Just know that there were a lot of people whose shoulders we are standing on here today for the stuff that they went through in the past. And I'm saying things that they went through in the past, they didn't go through those to show unblind loyalty to any government, to any political party. That was not the reason they went through those struggles they went through. They went through those struggles so that you had the ability and the right to make an educated guess on who you thought was best for you. I think it's time for Black people. It's time for Black people to take a look at what's best for you and not what's best for fringe groups. Fringe groups and liberalism have been the death of the Black experience. Liberalism is the death of Black people because it dilutes your efforts. It dilutes and diverts your efforts to fringe groups. Fringe groups consider themselves minorities now. So you got to work with political parties that are going to not look at you as a minority, but to look at you as a political partner. Right now, your vote is a commodity. And basically, Black people vote for whoever they think is the highest bidder for their vote. Empty promises after your vote has been casted and they've won the election, then they turn their back on you. And then 3.5 years later, they come at you again with additional tactics. Your tragedy is their strategy. Your tragedy is their strategy.
Lab Addicts Music Group.
You got to take their power back. And that's to the people that vote Democratic and the people that vote Republican. It's time for a third party. Time to create a political partner that's going to have our best interests. As opposed to going with these two political parties that test your emotional intelligence. I'm going to end tonight with the same thing
Lab
I've been
Addicts
saying
Music Group.
this whole night. Your strategy is their strategy. Your tragedy
Lab Addicts Music
is their
Group.
strategy. You gotta stop acting insane, expecting different results from same actions. This your boy Maas Appeal. It's been another edition of Conversations with Maas. Just remember, your tragedy is their strategy.